It's good to have you back with us. Let's start with this. The South African National AIDS Council is calling for a radical shift in addressing hate crimes after a spate of killings of LGBTIQ+ people. The organization says that in just 3 weeks, 4 gay people have been murdered, but there's been no word of action from President Cyril Ramaphosa nor the government. Sanac is calling for the hate crimes bill process to be ramped up and for sexuality and gender sensitization campaigns by government. So to discuss this further, I'm joined now by Steve Letsike, chairperson of the Sanac Civil Society Forum. Steve, good to have you and a pleasure to talk to you. But under these circumstances, I'm not sure if I'm happy that we're having this conversation, because I'm not sure why we are still talking about hate crime in South Africa, why the government is not acting decisively. And I suppose that's why you are here, because there are 4 very innocent people that fell victim to hate crime in these past 3 weeks alone.
No, indeed, Tumelo. Good morning to you and to the viewers. In fact, it's 6 deaths that we've had in the last 2 months. It is concerning that as South Africa, we've become so complacent in addressing the bias and the motive act, such as hate crimes. It is actually unacceptable. We know, yes, South Africa is suffering from a pandemic of gender-based violence and femicide. However, I think it can't be right that a country with a constitution that is so liberal and celebrated across the world, it's still suffering from prejudice, discrimination, and murders perpetrated by hate. It is not acceptable.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've seen the hashtag going around on social media, justice for, the said person, justice for the same person. I mean, in terms of raising awareness, because I know you're calling for the sensitizations of more campaigns by government. What role did these social media campaigns play in terms of raising awareness and also calling for more action to be done?
Well, I think, look, the most important thing, the call for sensitization, awareness raising also emanates on the basis that we still need to educate and shift the social behavior or attitudes of our society. That means we have to have targeted interventions. It cannot be right, as I've indicated, that with us as a country where we're supposed to be understanding rights, coexistence, tolerance, and actually respect for human rights that are enshrined in the Constitution, we have a responsibility to do so. Right now we're talking about just 6 deaths that have been experienced by the LGBTI community. But, just even about 4 days ago, we've been dealing as well with rape cases, even against LGBTI persons. I mean, just in the Pretoria West, I'm dealing with a 16-year-old who was raped twice within a space of a year. These are unnecessary death, unnecessary rape. So we need to look at awareness that is targeted to particular population, whether it's cultural, religious groups, and so forth. But we also need justice. Yeah. We need to actually ensure that there's redress for families, for survivors, or even for victims that we have lost along the way.
Yeah, and to have justice, Steve, I'm sure you would agree that the Constitution needs to also be ramped up in ways that will assist for justice to prevail. Hence, you're calling for the hate crimes bill to be ramped up. I mean, what's the process there, and what's the update that you can give us?
You see, I think it is a bit frustrating because it's now over 2 decades, a country battling with long history of prejudice. We still do not have hate crime legislation in place, which is unacceptable. Now, 3 arms of states are responsible, which is cabinet, which is judiciary, and parliament in this process. We've had back and forth for the last 20 years of hate crimes and hate speech. Up until now, that has not been moved by parliament or even by the executive. Now, judiciary is now listening to a case following the John Kwelani matter, which was processed through the courts of appeal. It's now with the judiciary, with the Constitutional Court. We want all the 3 arms of state to move with urgency. And all these 3 arms have not moved with the urgency to ensure that what we've suffered in the past as Black people, as women, is now being suffered again by LGBTI community. It is not right. We are supposed to know exactly what needs to be happening. We need to make sure that the hate crime legislation sends a clear message that biased crimes are not acceptable. So we are stuck as a country, and it is not acceptable. The president has a responsibility, like he has done with other laws, to move in a very swift approach. The Minister of Justice has a responsibility to ensure justice is protected, and the legislations that needs to be in place must articulate that. Hate crime legislation is needed now more than ever, because people are getting away with murder or even with prejudice and discrimination.
A mouthful said there, but thank you so much for talking to us. That was Steve Letsike, Sanac Civil Society Forum chairperson.